Hello, boys and girls. Welcome back. It's so good to have you here again today for another workbook page in the Kids Who Read Well Phonogram Workbook. Today, we're going to work on a new sound, so I hope you're ready. We're going to go towards the middle of the book this time. I know if you've been following along with us, we have been working from the middle of the book where you see the multi-letter phonograms. So here we have phonograms with two letters, but they make just one sound. And today we are going to keep flipping and keep moving until you get to your EE page. We want two E's. We call that double E. Double means two. So find your double E page with two E's. And if you do not have your book, go ahead and click that link below to take you to Amazon and you can get your own copy. All right, well, we're going to begin here. Here's what your phonogram page should look like. We have double E, and we're going to learn the sound for double E today. I see that my hand there is only holding up a number 1. Can you hold up the number 1? Just to remind you that the double E always makes one sound, E. You try, E. As a matter of fact, when we come to this sound, I'm gonna say something really specific, and I want you to always remember what to say when you see two E's walking together. Are you ready? Okay, here we go. Double E always says E. And that's what we're going to remember every time we see two E's walking together. We'll do it again. Double E always says E. Yeah, good. So that helps us to remember that when we're reading words and we come to a word we don't know and we see two E's walking together, we can remember in our minds that they always say E. So we never have to really struggle. We'll just look at those two E's and say E and then read the rest of the word. And we'll try some together down at the bottom of the page. All right, so we'll say it one more time. Holding up my number 1, E, double E, always says E. Great job. If you have your pencils handy, today we're going to practice writing those double E's. And if you were with us as we were looking at the phonogram with the double O's, then you remember that double O is written always with two lowercase O's, two small O's. It's the same with double E. There are very few words that I can think of in the English language right now that start with double E. So we're not going to practice it with a capital E, only with two lowercase E's, since our double E goes in the middle of the word or at the end of a word. So therefore, they will remain as lowercase E's. So we're going to write our small E's when we're writing double E. Put your pencil right there on the black dots, and we're going to trace our dotted line to the right. We're going to go up and around, and we're going to pass up that black dot again, and then curve around as if we were making the letter C. It's got the same kind of curve at the bottom like a C does. All right, let's try the next one right next to it. Put your pencil back on the dot, on the black dot, and we're going to trace our black line going to the right, and then up and around, pass up that black dot, and come around and hook it just like a C. Let's try again on those different examples at the bottom, starting on the black dot, coming out to the right, up and around, passing up the black dot and hooking around. And I'm just going to practice a few more times here. The more you practice, the easier it gets. It's also really important to learn how to make your letters correctly, because one day you're going to learn how to write in cursive. Yeah, big girl, big boy writing. And so how we form our letters now helps when we're trying to form our letters for cursive. So remember to follow the pattern on your dotted line so that you can form your letters correctly in preparation for cursive writing and to make our writing just a lot more legible, which means someone else can read it and read it well without having to figure out what you wrote because your handwriting is really messy. So when we form our letters correctly, we end up with very neat and legible handwriting. Okay, let's practice on our free space here. And just a reminder, we have a top line, we have a midline, and we have a baseline. And when we look at our lowercase e, it's a really short letter. It's really short. So it doesn't have to touch our top line. It doesn't have to go that big. We're going to keep it pretty small. So we're going to start here at the midline. As a matter of fact, we're not going to start at the midline. We're going to start just under the midline. And we're going to make our E rise up to the midline and then come down. So I'll show you what that looks like. We'll put our pencil right here in the between the midline and the baseline. Put it in that free space. And then we're going to draw that line out, going to the right, just like we did for the practice. And then we're going to go up towards the midline, trace that midline a bit, come down to the baseline, and then hook our E just like a C would look. And there we have it. We're good. Now, let me show you what it would look like if you start at the midline. I've seen a lot of boys and girls try to write their E's starting at the baseline, and then they bring it all the way up, and then they come around. Whoa, that's a really big lowercase e. It's almost too big. So we want to make sure that our lowercase e stays under the midline, not on top of it. So again, we're going to put our pencil between the midline and the baseline. Go ahead and draw that line going to the right and out. Come up to the midline and then around and curve it, just like that. And there's so much more space for you to practice your E's. An E is a tricky letter to write. So making sure you are practicing there in that space between the midline and the baseline. And we can come down to our next free space and write some more E's. Double E always says E. I actually like this phonogram. It's one of my favorite phonograms. I'm not sure why. I just like the sound E. There we are. Now there's so much more free space for you here. So if you didn't fill it all in today, feel free to come back to it another time and continue to fill in that space and get the practice for writing double E always says E. Great job. So here next, I see some words down there at the bottom that will help us put those double E's into words that we can read. So our first word, we have a wonderful picture here that guides us. It looks like they are 2 feet that went a walk-in together, just like those 2 E's do. So I see the 2 E's there in the middle of that word. So let's sound that word out using the letters we see. F says 2 E's, double E always says E. So let's put those 2 sounds together. Fee, fee. Oh, but I'm not done. There's another letter there at the end, a T, and T says t, t, t. Let's put all of those sounds together. Feet, feet. Very good, boys and girls. Feet. That was a really easy word to sound out because we knew all the sounds here. Let's see if we can do the next one. Ooh, I see some coloring that someone did. Looks like with a crayon. And what color is that crayon? Yeah, absolutely. That crayon gave us the color of green. Green. Let's sound that word out again using the phonograms that we see. So in this word, I see phonograms G, J, R, E, always says E, and N. Yeah, so instead of me calling out the letters this time, I called out the sounds that those letters make. So again, we have G, J, R, E, always says E, and N. So we have 4 phonogram sounds here in this word. Let's see if we can blend them together. I'm going to try both sounds for G, just to make sure I get the word I'm looking for. So we'll start with G, G, G. Okay? Green, green, green. I know that word. Well, let's try it also with the J sound for G, because G makes 2 sounds, and we want to make sure we're covering all the sounds. J, green, dream, dream. No, it sounds like a dream when you're sleeping, but that's dream, and it should end with the phonogram This is green. I don't know that word. So I think we're going to stick with green. Great job, boys and girls. Our next word, whew, my allergies. Our next word, we see that emoji is sneezing. He's got a cold or his allergies are really bothering him this season. Let's see how many phonograms are in the word sneeze. Sneeze. 4 phonogram sounds are in the word sneeze. And we see here, we do have another letter there at the end that we did not give a sound for. And that's because when we have an E that comes at the end of the word, it's very, very quiet. It's quiet. It doesn't say anything. It had a different role in this word, and its role was not to speak. The E was told, if you go at the end of a word, you do not speak. And so we don't provide a sound for the letter E when it comes at the end of a word. So let's try that sounding out one more time. S, n, e, z. And then we'll be quiet for the sound of E. Sneeze, sneeze. Very good, boys and girls. Let's see if we can find a few more words that make the E sound. Would you be willing to look at some more words with me? All right, let's go. So we know that Miss Ashley loves to Google. If you ask me a question and I don't know the answer, I'm going to go and find it on Google. Did you know that I am older than Google? What, Miss Ashley? Yeah. Google has only been around for a few years, even though it seems much longer. All right, so here we go. Oh, I see that word eat again. But there are some new words for us to look at here. Let's see if we can find the sounds of the phonogram so we can work those words out. I see 2 eyes are looking there, but that word is E, C. All right. Next one we have B, E, B. Wow. What is he doing there in that bed? It looks like sleep, sleep. Oh, wow. That was a bigger word that time. And look, these 2 gentlemen are shaking hands. They have a eat. Looks like they are just now meeting for the first time. Or maybe they're meeting for lunch and they already know each other, but they're shaking hands so they can greet one another. Ooh, this guy, I don't know what's wrong with his knee. The K in that word is silent as well. It doesn't talk, just like the E at the end of the other word. Oh, our heart lets us feel. Oh, and I have one of these trucks at my house. It's a Jeep. Jeep. Very good. All right, it looks like here we also have the superlative for the word deep. Superlatives kind of take our words and make the most of them. And so here we see that there's an iceberg in this picture, and that iceberg goes very deep. And if you keep looking, you can see it goes deeper. And then at the very bottom, we have the deepest part of that iceberg. So we have deep, deeper, and deepest. And I'm sure if you haven't learned about superlatives yet in school, you will very soon. I think that's all of our words. We got to all of them. Very good job. Let's go back really quickly to our phonogram page to remind us of our sound we learned today. So today we learned double E always says E, and it only makes that one sound. So remember, in our words like eat and green and sneeze, all of those words have E, double E always says E. And maybe we want to add a few more words to our pages here. Let's see, I liked when the gentlemen were shaking hands. So I'm going to try and do some hands here where they're shaking hands. There's one hand and then maybe another hand. Oh, that looks really crazy. But they're shaking hands. And I'm going to remember that these two gentlemen meet by shaking hands. So I'm going to write my word there, meet. And I can even think that the two hands are meeting. When you join two things together, it means that they are meeting. Yeah, so that word works just fine. I also like the guy who was sleeping in the bed. So I'm going to draw him as well. Let's see here. All right, his eyes are closed. Maybe his mouth is open. And then I'm going to draw some Z's here because he's snoring while he sleeps. So I'm going to write that word here, sleep. Perfect. All finished. If you think of any more words that have the E, always says E sound, feel free to draw it below. Discuss it with your teacher or your mom or your sister or your friend and see what other words you could come up with to draw there on your phonogram page. We did a great job today, boys and girls, with this phonogram. E always says E. Thank you so much for joining us today. And don't forget, if you don't have your phonogram book to work with us, just look on that Amazon link and grab you a copy as well so that you can work with us and learn your sounds so that you can not only read, but read well. All right, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you for joining.